Welcome to Twisted Heartstrings. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more captivating stories of mystery, romance, and revenge. A chance encounter in the rain. The rain fell like silver needles across the streets of Ashford City, turning the evening into a blur of glowing streetlights and hurried footsteps. Detective Nathan Cross stood beneath the awning of a corner bookstore, watching people rush past with newspapers held over their heads and umbrellas fighting against the wind. He had just finished a long shift at the precinct, another day of paperwork and dead-end leads on cases that seemed to go nowhere. Nathan was 32 years old, tall with dark hair that was always slightly disheveled, and eyes that carried the weight of too many unsolved mysteries. He had joined the police force 8 years ago with dreams of making the world safer, but lately, those dreams felt more like distant memories. The job had become routine, predictable, almost boring. That was until she appeared. At first, Nathan barely noticed her. She was just another figure rushing through the rain, a woman in a long gray coat with her hood pulled up against the weather. But then she stopped directly in front of him, just outside the awning's protection, and looked up at the sky as if welcoming the rain rather than hiding from it. Water streamed down her face, but she didn't seem to mind. She closed her eyes and smiled, a sad, beautiful smile that made Nathan's chest tighten with an emotion he couldn't name. There was something haunting about her, something that spoke of secrets and sorrows hidden beneath that peaceful expression. "Excuse me," Nathan found himself saying, surprising even himself. "Would you like to share the shelter? You're getting soaked." The woman opened her eyes and turned to look at him. Her eyes were an unusual shade of gray-green, like the ocean before a storm. For a moment, she simply stared at him, as if trying to decide whether he was worth trusting. "Thank you," she finally said, her voice soft but clear. She stepped beneath the awning, pushing back her hood to reveal dark brown hair that clung to her face in wet strands. "I don't usually mind the rain, but I suppose staying dry has its advantages." Nathan smiled. "I'm Nathan. Nathan Cross." "Elena," she replied, not offering a last name. "Elena." They stood in comfortable silence for a few moments, watching the rain together. Nathan noticed small details about her. The way her fingers nervously played with the buttons on her coat, the small scar above her left eyebrow, the sadness that seemed to live permanently in her eyes. "Do you come to this bookstore often?" Nathan asked, trying to make conversation. Elena glanced at the store behind them. "Sometimes. I like old books. They carry stories that nobody remembers anymore. Stories that deserve to be heard." There was something poetic about the way she spoke, something that made Nathan want to know more. "What kind of stories do you like?" "Stories about people who disappear," Elena said quietly, "and the ones who are left behind to wonder why." Before Nathan could respond, Elena pulled her hood back up. "The rain is lighter now. I should go. Thank you for the shelter, Detective Cross." Nathan's eyes widened. "How did you know I'm a detective?" "I didn't." But Elena was already walking away, disappearing into the misty evening like a ghost. Nathan stood there, confused and strangely captivated. He hadn't mentioned his profession. How could she have known? The mystery of Elena Carter. The next morning, Nathan couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious woman from the bookstore. He sat at his desk in the precinct, staring at his computer screen without really seeing it. His partner, Detective Marcus Reed, noticed immediately. "You look like someone who spent the night chasing ghosts," Marcus said, dropping a coffee cup on Nathan's desk. Marcus was in his 40s, experienced and practical, with a round face and kind eyes that had seen too much of the world's darkness. Nathan shook his head. "Just tired, that's all." "Liar," Marcus grinned. "I know that look. You met someone." Nathan hesitated, then decided there was no point in hiding it. "I met a woman last night, outside Carter's bookstore. There was something strange about her." "Strange how?" "She knew I was a detective, Marcus. I never told her. And the way she talked, it was like she was carrying some heavy burden. She said her name was Elena, but she didn't give a last name." Marcus leaned against Nathan's desk, his expression turning more serious. "Elena, huh? That's interesting. Why?" "Because we got a missing person report this morning. Woman named Elena Carter, age 28. She was reported missing by her landlord when she didn't pay rent for 2 months. But here's the strange part. The landlord says Elena Carter has been missing for 5 years." Nathan sat up straight. 5 years? Then why report it now? Marcus shrugged. The landlord was going through old files and realized he never officially reported her disappearance. He assumed she had just moved away without notice, but then he found some of her belongings still in the apartment, untouched, like she vanished into thin air. A chill ran down Nathan's spine. Do you have a photograph? Marcus pulled out a file and handed Nathan a photo. The moment Nathan saw it, his breath caught in his throat. It was her. The same gray-green eyes, the same sad smile, the same scar above her left eyebrow. The woman he had met last night was supposedly missing for 5 years. That's impossible, Nathan whispered. I saw her yesterday. I talked to her. Marcus frowned. Are you sure it's the same person? I'm certain. Nathan stood up, grabbing his jacket. We need to investigate this. Something's not right. Whispers in the coffee shop. Nathan and Marcus drove to the address listed in the missing person report, a small apartment building on the east side of the city. The landlord, Mr. Pemberton, was an elderly man with thick glasses and a habit of repeating himself. Like I told the officer on the phone, Mr. Pemberton said as he led them up the narrow staircase. Elena Carter lived here for 2 years before she disappeared. Quiet girl, always paid on time, never caused trouble. Then one day, she just stopped coming home. Did she have any friends? Family? Anyone who visited her? Nathan asked. Mr. Pemberton shook his head. Nobody. She was alone, that one. Sometimes I'd hear her crying at night through the walls. But she never talked about her troubles. They reached the 3rd floor, and Mr. Pemberton unlocked a door at the end of the hallway. The apartment was small, just a single room with a tiny kitchen and a bathroom. But what struck Nathan immediately was how untouched everything looked. A coffee cup still sat on the counter, a book lay open on the bed, and a calendar on the wall was turned to October, 5 years ago. It's like she expected to come back, Marcus observed quietly. Nathan walked slowly through the room, taking in every detail. On the small desk by the window, he found a notebook filled with handwritten entries. He picked it up carefully and began to read. October 15th, they think I've forgotten. They think because 5 years have passed, the pain has faded. But pain like this doesn't fade. It grows. It transforms into something else. Something stronger. They will understand soon. They will all understand what it feels like to lose everything. Nathan felt his pulse quicken. These weren't the words of someone who had simply disappeared. These were the words of someone planning something. He flipped through more pages, finding sketches, names, addresses, and photographs. One photograph in particular caught his attention. A picture of a young woman who looked remarkably similar to Elena, but younger, happier. On the back of the photo, someone had written, Sarah Carter, beloved sister, taken too soon. Marcus, Nathan called out. I think Elena had a sister. And I think something terrible happened to her. Marcus came over and looked at the photograph. We need to run these names through the database. If Elena is planning something, we need to know what. As they were about to leave, Nathan noticed something else. A business card tucked into the corner of the mirror. It was for a coffee shop called the Velvet Cup on the other side of town. On the back, someone had written in elegant handwriting, where secrets are shared over bitter coffee. The first warning sign. Nathan and Marcus visited the Velvet Cup that same afternoon. It was a cozy place with dim lighting, vintage furniture, and the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee beans. A few customers sat scattered around, typing on laptops or reading books, completely absorbed in their own worlds. Behind the counter stood a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She looked up as Nathan and Marcus approached. Can I help you, gentlemen? She asked with a knowing smile. Nathan showed his badge. Detective Nathan Cross. This is my partner, Detective Marcus Reed. We're investigating a missing person case involving Elena Carter. We found your business card in her apartment. The woman's expression didn't change, but Nathan noticed a flicker of recognition in her eyes. Elena. Yes, I remember her. She used to come here often. When was the last time you saw her? Marcus asked. The woman, her name tag read Margaret, wiped down the counter thoughtfully. About a week ago, actually. She came in late at night, sat in the corner booth. Over there, and ordered black coffee. She didn't stay long. Nathan's heart raced. A week ago? Are you certain? Positive. I remember because she looked different from how she used to look 5 years ago. Older, sadder. Like she'd been through hell and back. Did she say anything to you? Mention where she'd been. Nathan pressed. Margaret hesitated, then leaned in closer. She said something strange. She said, when ghosts return, they bring the past with them. And the past always demands payment. A heavy silence fell over the conversation. Nathan exchanged a glance with Marcus, who looked equally disturbed. Did she mention any names? Any people she was planning to see? Marcus asked. Margaret shook her head. No names. But she left something behind. She reached under the counter and pulled out a small envelope. She said if anyone came looking for her, I should give them this. Nathan took the envelope with trembling hands. It was sealed with red wax, like something from another era. He carefully opened it and found a single card inside with a message written in the same elegant handwriting. Detective Cross, if you're reading this, then you've begun to understand. Meet me tonight at midnight at the Riverside Manor on Blackwood Avenue. Come alone. Some truths can only be spoken in darkness. E.C. Nathan felt a mixture of excitement and dread. This was written before I even met her. How could she have known I would be the one investigating? Margaret smiled mysteriously. Elena always seemed to know things before they happened. It was like she could see the threads of fate before they were woven. A photograph that changed everything. Back at the precinct, Nathan couldn't focus on anything else. The note from Elena burned in his pocket like a secret fire. Midnight was still hours away, but time seemed to move impossibly slowly. Marcus noticed Nathan's distraction. You're not seriously thinking about going alone, are you? This could be a trap. I have to go, Nathan said firmly. If Elena is planning something dangerous, I need to understand why. And I need to stop her before someone gets hurt. Or before you get hurt, Marcus countered. Let me come with you. As backup, Nathan shook his head. She specifically said to come alone. If I bring you, she might not show up at all. Marcus sighed, knowing he couldn't change Nathan's mind. At least we're a wire. And keep your phone on. If anything goes wrong, I'm calling in the entire department. While they talked, Nathan ran the names he'd found in Elena's notebook through the police database. What he discovered made his blood run cold. 5 years ago, a young woman named Sarah Carter had died in what was officially ruled a suicide. She had jumped from the balcony of the Riverside Manor, the same place Elena wanted to meet tonight. Sarah had been only 23 years old, a bright student at the local university with her whole life ahead of her. But as Nathan dug deeper into the case files, he found disturbing inconsistencies. Witnesses had reported seeing Sarah with a group of wealthy students just hours before her death. These students all came from powerful families, families with enough influence to make problems disappear. The lead detective on Sarah's case had been Detective Richard Morrison, who had retired shortly after closing the investigation. Nathan found Morrison's notes, and they were unusually brief, lacking the thoroughness that such a case should have warranted. One name appeared repeatedly in the witness statements: Victor Ashford, son of the city's most prominent real estate developer. Victor had been Sarah's boyfriend, but according to several witnesses, their relationship had been troubled. There were hints of control, jealousy, and something darker. But the investigation had never pursued Victor seriously. The case was closed quickly, quietly, and permanently labeled as suicide. Nathan sat back in his chair, the pieces finally starting to come together. Elena wasn't just a mystery, she was Sarah's sister. And she had spent 5 years planning something. Something that involved the people she believed responsible for her sister's death. Marcus, Nathan said slowly, I think Elena Carter is back for revenge. The hidden past resurfaces. As midnight approached, Nathan drove through the empty streets toward Blackwood Avenue. The Riverside Manor loomed ahead, a massive Victorian building that had once been a grand estate, but now stood abandoned, surrounded by overgrown gardens and rusted iron gates. Nathan parked his car and checked his phone one last time. Marcus had sent a message. Be careful. I'm 10 minutes away if you need me. Nathan took a deep breath and walked toward the manor. The front door was slightly ajar, creaking softly in the night breeze. He pushed it open and stepped inside. The interior was dark and filled with the smell of dust and decay. Moonlight streamed through broken windows, casting strange shadows across the marble floors. Nathan turned on his flashlight and moved carefully through the entrance hall. Elena, he called out. I'm here, just like you asked. Thank you for coming, Detective Cross. Nathan spun around. Elena stood at the top of the grand staircase, dressed in black, her face pale in the moonlight. She looked like a ghost herself, beautiful and haunting. You knew I would come, Nathan said. I hoped you would, Elena replied, descending the stairs slowly. You're different from the others. You actually care about finding the truth. The truth about what happened to your sister? Elena's expression hardened. So you figured that much out. Good. That saves time. Nathan took a step closer. Elena, I read the case file. I know Sarah died here 5 years ago. I know you think it wasn't suicide. But revenge isn't the answer. If someone hurt your sister, let me help you. Let the law. The law. Elena's laugh was bitter and sharp. The law protected the people who killed Sarah. The law closed her case in 2 weeks. The law called her death a suicide and told me to move on with my life. Then help me reopen the investigation, Nathan urged. Show me what you know. We can do this the right way. Elena shook her head sadly. There is no right way, detective. Not anymore. Some crimes are too perfectly hidden. Some criminals are too well protected. And some sisters. Her voice broke. Some sisters deserve justice, even if it comes from the shadows. She reached into her coat and pulled out a thick folder, tossing it down the stairs toward Nathan. He picked it up and opened it, his eyes widening as he saw what was inside. Photographs. Dozens of them. Sarah with Victor Ashford. Sarah looking frightened. Bruises hidden beneath makeup. Text messages showing threats, manipulation, control. And finally, photographs from the night Sarah died. Photographs that clearly showed she hadn't been alone on that balcony. Where did you get these? Nathan asked, his hands shaking. I've spent 5 years collecting evidence that everyone else ignored, Elena said. 5 years watching the people who killed my sister live their perfect lives while Sarah lies in a cold grave. Victor Ashford, James Blackwell, Marcus Thornton, they were all there that night. They all played their part. And they all walked away free. Nathan looked up at her, finally understanding the depth of her pain and determination. What are you planning to do, Elena? She smiled that sad, beautiful smile again. I'm going to make them confess, detective. Every single one of them. And I'm going to make sure the world hears their confession. How? By doing what my sister couldn't do. By refusing to stay silent. By being the ghost that haunts them until they break. Nathan took a deep breath. He was standing at a crossroads. On one side was his duty as a detective to follow the rules and work within the system. On the other side was a woman seeking justice for a crime that had been buried by corruption and privilege. Let me help you, Nathan said finally. But we do this my way. No one else gets hurt. We gather enough evidence to reopen the case officially. We bring these people to trial. We let justice run its course. Elena studied him for a long moment, searching his face for any sign of deception. Finally, she nodded. All right, Detective Cross. We'll try it your way. But if your way fails. She paused, her eyes growing cold. Then I'll do what needs to be done, with or without your approval. Nathan knew he was making a dangerous decision, one that could cost him his career or worse. But looking at Elena, seeing the pain and determination in her eyes, he also knew he couldn't walk away. Then we start tomorrow, Nathan said. And Elena, call me Nathan. For the first time, Elena's smile reached her eyes. All right, Nathan. Tomorrow we begin to uncover what was buried. Together. As Nathan left the Riverside Manor that night, he knew his life had changed forever. He had stepped into a mystery that went far deeper than a simple missing person case. He had stepped into a story of love, loss, betrayal, and revenge. And somewhere in his heart, he knew that Elena Carter was either the key to solving a terrible crime, or the architect of something far more dangerous than he could imagine. The rain began to fall again as Nathan drove home, washing away the dust of the past, but unable to wash away the ghosts that walked among the living, waiting for their moment of truth. What will Nathan discover as he investigates deeper? Can Elena's thirst for revenge be satisfied by justice? And what dark secrets are the wealthy families of Ashford City hiding? Find out in part 2. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Where are you watching from? We'd love to hear from you. J2 Part 2. Secrets Written in Blood. Welcome back to Twisted Heartstrings. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure to watch Part 1 first to understand the full story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more thrilling tales of mystery and romance. The detective's obsession begins. The morning sun filtered through the blinds of Nathan's apartment, casting stripes of light across the scattered case files that covered his coffee table. He had barely slept. After leaving the Riverside Manor, Nathan had spent the entire night going through the evidence Elena had given him, cross-referencing it with the official police reports from 5 years ago. The contradictions were staggering. According to the official report, Sarah Carter had been alone when she jumped from the balcony. But the photographs Elena possessed showed at least 3 other people present that night: Victor Ashford, James Blackwell, and Marcus Thornton. All 3 came from families that practically owned half of Ashford City. Nathan's phone buzzed. It was Marcus calling for the 3rd time that morning. "You better have a good explanation for last night," Marcus said the moment Nathan answered. "I waited outside that manor for 2 hours. You never called for backup." "I'm sorry, Marcus. It was complicated." "Complicated?" "Nathan, you met with a potential suspect alone in an abandoned building. That's not complicated. That's reckless." Nathan rubbed his tired eyes. "She's not a suspect, Marcus. She's a victim. Her sister was murdered 5 years ago, and the case was covered up." There was a long pause on the other end. "Murdered?" "The Sarah Carter case was ruled a suicide." "It was ruled wrong," Nathan said firmly. "Elena has evidence. Real evidence. Photographs, text messages, witness statements that were never included in the official report. I need you to trust me on this." Marcus sighed heavily. "Fine, but we do this by the book. We reopen the investigation officially, get a warrant, bring in the suspects for questioning. No more midnight meetings with mysterious women." "Agreed," Nathan said, though he knew it wouldn't be that simple. The people involved in Sarah's death had power, connections, and resources. They wouldn't go down without a fight. After hanging up with Marcus, Nathan received a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at the public library, 3rd floor, history section. 11 a.m. Come alone. We need to talk strategy." Nathan checked his watch. He had 2 hours. He showered quickly, changed into fresh clothes, and tried to look like someone who hadn't spent the entire night obsessing over a 5-year-old case. But the truth was, Nathan was obsessed. Not just with the case, but with Elena herself. There was something about her, her determination, her pain, her refusal to let her sister be forgotten, that resonated deep within him. He had joined the police force to help people who couldn't help themselves, and Elena reminded him of why that mattered. Letters from a Ghost. The Ashford City Public Library was a beautiful old building with tall columns and endless rows of books that smelled like history and forgotten stories. Nathan made his way to the 3rd floor, where the history section occupied a quiet corner with large windows overlooking the city park. Elena was already there, sitting at a small table with several old newspapers spread out in front of her. She wore a simple blue sweater and jeans, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked younger today, more vulnerable, less like the vengeful ghost from the manor. "Good morning, Detective," she said softly as Nathan approached. "It's Nathan, remember?" He sat down across from her. "What are we looking at?" Elena pushed one of the newspapers toward him. It was dated 6 years ago, before Sarah's death. The headline read, "Local university students accused of harassment, charges dropped." 3 students were accused of harassing a female classmate, Elena explained. The charges were dropped after the families paid a settlement to the victim. The 3 students were Victor Ashford, James Blackwell, and Marcus Thornton. Nathan felt a chill run down his spine. The same 3 names from the night Sarah died. They had a pattern, Elena continued, her voice steady but filled with suppressed anger. They targeted young women, used their family connections to escape consequences, and the system protected them every single time. She pulled out another newspaper, this one from 4 years ago. After Sarah's death, another woman came forward with allegations against Victor. She said he had assaulted her at a party. The case never went to trial. The woman suddenly withdrew her statement and moved out of the city. "How did you find all of this?" Nathan asked. 5 years of research," Elena said simply. 5 years of talking to people, following leads, and refusing to let my sister's death become just another statistic. I've interviewed former classmates, tracked down witnesses who were too scared to speak before, and collected evidence that proves these men are dangerous. Nathan leaned back in his chair, processing everything. "Elena, this is good work. Really good work. But you're not a detective. Some of this evidence might not be admissible in court because of how it was obtained." Elena's eyes flashed with frustration. "Then what do you suggest, Nathan? That I hand everything over to the police department that failed my sister the first time?" That I trust the same system that let her killers walk free. You trust me, Nathan said quietly. You asked me to meet you last night. You're showing me this evidence now. That means part of you believes I can help. Elena looked away, staring out the window at the park below. I want to believe in justice, Nathan. I really do. But I've seen what happens when rich men commit crimes. They don't go to prison. They hire expensive lawyers. Their families make donations to political campaigns, and suddenly evidence disappears and witnesses change their stories. Not this time, Nathan promised. I won't let that happen. Elena turned back to him, her gray-green eyes searching his face. Why do you care so much? You didn't know Sarah. You barely know me. Nathan thought about his answer carefully. Because everyone deserves justice, Elena. And because, he hesitated, because when I look at you, I see someone who refuses to give up on the people she loves. That kind of loyalty, that kind of love, it's rare. It's worth fighting for. For a moment, something shifted in Elena's expression. The hard walls she had built around herself seemed to crack just slightly, revealing the vulnerable, grieving woman underneath. Thank you, she whispered. I haven't heard words like that in a long time. Before Nathan could respond, Elena pulled out a small box from her bag. I want to show you something. These are letters Sarah wrote to me in the weeks before she died. I couldn't read them for years. They were too painful. But recently, I went through them again, and I found something important. She handed Nathan several handwritten letters. The paper was worn from being folded and unfolded many times, and the ink was smudged in places, perhaps from tears. Nathan read the first letter carefully. Dear Elena, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think I'm in trouble. Victor has become possessive and controlling. He gets angry when I talk to other people, especially other men. Last night, he grabbed my arm so hard it left bruises. I tried to break up with him, but he said if I leave him, he'll ruin my reputation. He said his family has power and that no one would believe me over him. I'm scared, Elena. I don't know what to do. Please don't tell Mom and Dad. I don't want them to worry. I'll figure this out. I always do. Love, Sarah. Nathan's hands trembled as he read. This was clear evidence of an abusive relationship, evidence that should have been part of the original investigation. There are 6 more letters like this, Elena said. Each one shows Sarah becoming more frightened, more trapped. And then, in the final letter, she mentioned something specific. She handed Nathan the last letter Sarah had ever written. Dear Elena, I've made a terrible mistake. I discovered something about Victor and his friends, something criminal that they've been hiding. I told Victor the first was going to report it to the authorities, and now I'm terrified. He invited me to a party at the Riverside Manor tonight. He said we need to talk, that he wants to make things right. But I don't trust him anymore, Elena. If something happens to me, if I don't come back, please know that I love you. Please know that I tried to do the right thing. And please, please don't let them get away with what they've done. The truth is in the silver box in my dorm room. Find it. Expose it. Make them pay. Your loving sister, Sarah. The man with 2 faces. Nathan read the letter 3 times, his mind racing. The silver box. Did you ever find it? Elena shook her head, frustration evident on her face. I searched Sarah's dorm room after she died, but I never found any silver box. The police cleared out her belongings quickly, and everything was returned to my family in cardboard boxes. I went through every single item multiple times. There was no silver box. Then either someone took it before you could search, Nathan said, or Sarah hid it somewhere else for safekeeping. I've spent 5 years trying to figure out where, Elena admitted. I've checked her favorite places, talked to her friends, even broken into Victor Ashford's property twice looking for it. Nathan's eyes widened. You what? Elena shrugged unapologetically. I had to try, but his security system is extensive, and I didn't find anything. Whatever Sarah discovered, whatever evidence she collected, it's still out there somewhere. Nathan stood up and began pacing. Okay, let's think about this logically. Sarah knew she was in danger. She wouldn't hide evidence somewhere easy for Victor to find. It would have to be somewhere personal, but protected. Somewhere only someone who truly knew her would think to look. I've thought of everything, Elena said desperately. Her favorite coffee shop, the library study room, she always used, even our childhood home. Nothing. Nathan stopped pacing and looked at Elena. What about places connected to you? You were her sister, the person she trusted most. Maybe she hid it somewhere that would mean something to both of you. Elena's expression shifted as a memory seemed to surface. There was one place. A place we used to go as children. An old park on the west side of the city with a bronze statue of a swan. Sarah and I would hide secret messages for each other in a hollow space behind the statue's base. How long has it been since you checked there? Years, Elena admitted. I assumed Sarah had outgrown our childhood games. But maybe she remembered, Nathan finished. It's worth checking. Let's go now. They left the library together, walking quickly through the city streets. Nathan called Marcus on the way, updating him on the new lead, but carefully leaving out certain details about Elena's past breaking and entering activities.